It's so funny that Republicans were so tolerant with me, Democrats were not. Here's the other part, Adam.
Yeah, but I got to say that's a bullshit statement.
No, it's not bullshit.
Because I've lived that.
Let me
go ahead.
Let me say the other part. The other part is also the following. When you're talking about Trump and naive and all that other stuff, bro, you believed in Russia hoax for 3 years with no proof. $35,000 paid by Hillary Clinton. You believed in it.
Patrick Bet David is once again shutting down his own co-host Adam Sosnick here live on the PBD podcast and the Valuetainment YouTube channel for a ridiculously woke take that Adam had here live on the PBD podcast. Patrick Bet David is just fed up with Adam believing in woke nonsense, believing in woke propaganda, and things get really heated here live on the Valuetainment YouTube channel and the PBD podcast. Let's get into this clip.
The independent voter, the independent mind in America is the most important voter in America. So for instance, Ricky, there is 0% chance, you'd vote for a Democrat, yes?
Hell would have to freeze.
Exactly. So, and there's also
no,
0%. Hold on, let me finish my point. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on, Poppy.
I'm going to come back to it.
Hold on, Poppy, you get a chance.
All right.
There's also a 0% chance that a far left, BLM guy, whatever, would ever vote for Donald Trump. But where I'm at right now, and maybe this is my message, is to be free from the constraints of your party is a very free feeling. And to be able to kind of be an umpire and call balls and strikes and say, yeah, you kind of fucked up here. Nope, you guys messed up here, that. So today, everyone wants to live in, well, that's my truth. That's my truth. Well, there's the truth, and then there's my truth. So for instance, you said, Ricky, I don't care what you say, I don't care what evidence you show me. I don't care who says what.
I never said that.
Hold on.
That's not what I said.
Hold on. You said, I don't care what evidence you show me.
I never said that.
I will never not believe that 2020 election was not stolen. That's exactly what you said.
No, I said there's nothing you could tell me to convince me.
Exactly.
Because, well, the evidence is there that it was stolen.
Okay, so my point is this. No matter how hard somebody tries, if the Supreme Court,
I don't give a shit about the Supreme Court,
but this is my point, brother, that you don't give a shit. If the 6-3 Supreme Court came down and said, by the way, we've looked at everything, Joe Biden is the winner of the 2020 election, you still wouldn't believe him.
Look, let me tell you one thing.
Because you're living my truth.
Hold on,
your
no.
Truth,
Let me tell you one thing. When you come, okay, you got to remember, outside of Pat, and I don't want to make judgments on anybody else, I lived in another country. Mm-hmm. I've seen corruption at its core. I've lived in it. So like, it's very different when you live in a country where, like, I'm going to give you an example. The one that's president right now, he ran against another guy 2 elections ago, and they stole it from him. And as a matter, even during, it's crazy. His name is AMLO.
You're talking about in Mexico?
In Mexico. Yeah. The current president of Mexico, during our election, said something's wrong. They had already stolen an election from him. The guy sat there from a different country, looked at everything, he said, that election is rigged. When a person has had a stolen election, he's been running president many times, and finally the president now sits back and says, bro, that's bullshit. From another country, from a country that I come from, we see things from a whole different perspective. That people think like America is like this perfect country where everything's fine, everything's good, and the government's all intact. Bullshit. There's DEA agents and CIA agents in Mexico trading the cartels right now. So
I mean, this guy is speaking facts. You know, obviously America is corrupt, and people who come from corrupt countries such as Mexico, such as like basically the majority of the countries in the world who come from real corruption, you know, and it's so corrupt that the leaders don't even really try to hide it. They're able to see the corruption a lot more clearly. And then there's 2 sides within America. There's a side that says America is perfect. I'm pro-America. I wave the American flag everywhere I go, and America can do nothing wrong. It's like there's no way that we can go into another nation and commit atrocities and do bad things in other nations because America is always right. And then there's the other side that lives in America and at the same time hates America and hates everything that America stands for, hates the American flag, all that stuff. The truth is somewhere in the middle, where America probably is the best place and the best country in the world to live in. That's why people try to come here from Mexico, and realizing that they could die, that there's a high chance, a high probability that they could die trying to enter this country illegally, and they still try anyway. Right? Like there's a reason why, you know, if you talk to like any Homeland Security agent or anything like that, any Border Patrol people, they'll tell you that they see dead bodies all the time. These people know that there's a high chance, a high probability of them dying, and they still try to come here anyway because that's how much greater this country is to live in than the corrupt one that they're coming from. So yes, America does have corruption just like every other nation in the world. At the same time, though, probably is the best place to live, and that's probably why people risk their lives to get here and to live here illegally, you know?
Me with the whole, the Supreme Court, fuck the Supreme Court. Because at the end of, excuse my language, at the end of the day, the reality is this: I've seen corruption at its core. And when you have DEA and CIA agents in Mexico training the cartels, you can't convince me otherwise.
That's fine. But here's my response. And we see what's going on in Brazil right now. We see what's going on in Mexico.
But let me go back. Hold on.
This is fucking America.
No. That's the naive part of you.
No.
That's the naive part of you.
The difference between...
That's naive to think that.
Okay. The difference
so
between
naive.
America and the rest of these fucking pura gente motherfucking other countries out there is that we believe in the peaceful transition of power. Now, you can quote me on this, and I'll quote Bill Maher. Come 2024, whether Trump gets blown out or not, he will say that he won the election. He will claim that it was rigged. He claimed that 2016 was rigged, and he won, dog. So, like, since Donald Trump has showed up on the scene,
the Democrats already,
every election is rigged, fraud, stolen.
What did Hillary Clinton just do?
Prior to that, you know who had the biggest?
Hillary Clinton just came out, 2024 is going to be stolen. It's 2 years from now.
I'm not even worried
She's
about
already talking about Trump. What are you talking about, Trump?
But
Hillary's the one doing it right now in 2024.
The closest election we've ever had in our history, Al Gore in the state of Florida, when George W. Bush barely won Florida. P.S. Who was the governor of Florida at that time? His brother?
Yeah.
Jeb Bush? How about that, dog? He even said, you know what? This thing called America is bigger than me. I will say that you won the election. George W. Bush have it. Peaceful transition of power. Donald Trump does not believe in that. He does not believe in the peaceful transition of power.
Would you believe in it too?
And of course, he's been echoing that.
I find it absolutely hilarious that people like Adam go on the PBD podcast, and so many other people have gone on the PBD podcast here and the Value Taming YouTube channel, and they've said things like Adam is saying right now, where Donald Trump will claim that the election is rigged no matter what, as if the left wing doesn't do the same thing. I'm not saying that it's right just because the left wing does it too. I'm not saying that it's always right to say things like that. But you can't just criticize Donald Trump for doing it when they've been saying that he is colluding with Russia since 2016 or 2015. And they still say it to this day. They still believe that hoax. And I don't know if they actually believe it, but they still use it as propaganda. They still use it as ammunition to say that Donald Trump is an evil person who steals elections and things like that. So I get it. Maybe Trump should, not say those things. If he knows it to not be true, maybe he knows some information that makes him think that it is 100% true that the elections have been stolen from him. But to just criticize Donald Trump for saying it, acting as if the left wing doesn't also do the exact same thing, is pretty crazy. That's pretty wild to do.
That sentiment for the last 5 years, and of course, you're going to stand with him.
Let me tell you real quick. And I know Pat wants to continue, so there's the last thing I'm going to say. The last thing I'm going to say on this subject. When I tell you that I would never vote Democrat, it's not because of how I feel. It's simply because they do not align with any of my beliefs politically, tax, civil, social, in any way, shape, or form. They do not align with anything that I believe in.
And that's totally fine.
It has nothing to do with feelings. It has everything to do with me looking at facts. It's the party of slavery. It's the party of Jim Crow. It's the party of the KKK. And they switched to the 1960s because it was no longer popular to be racist. And they switched. LBJ said, I'm going to have these ends voting Democrat for 200 years. So they just switched tactics. Like what he was saying earlier, when this governor or senator said that it was a plantation politics, I 100% believe that's a Democrat party. So therefore, I cannot vote or even fathom the idea of voting for something that I know does not align with what I believe in and the history of the party and who they have been and what they represent.
I've been a Democrat. Last year, I just became a Republican. She says, it's so funny that for 28 years while I was a Democrat, all my Republican friends were so patient with me.
Yep.
But for 1 year that I've been a Republican, none of my Democratic friends even want to associate with me.
They're not tolerant.
It's so funny that Republicans were so tolerant with me, Democrats were not. Here's the other part, Adam.
Yeah, but
Just
I got to
to-
say that's a bullshit statement.
No, it's not
me-
bullshit.
because I've
Whoa,
lived that
no, no.
life.
Let me
All right, go ahead.
Let me say the other part. The other part is also the following. When you're talking about Trump and naive and all that other stuff, bro, you believed in Russia hoax for 3 years with no proof. $35,000 paid by Hillary Clinton. You believed in it. And tens of millions of people believed in it because of selective hearing because you couldn't stand one guy.
No, because of the media.
So, well, but that's also a form of being naive because you chose to believe. You're a grown man. It's not like you were 17 years old.
If you want to think I'm the only one that was naive,
but that's not the
half
point.
the country
That's the
fell
problem.
for it.
Half the
That's a
country
problem.
fell for
That's
it.
also a problem.
Just like half the
problem.
country is falling for election denialism.
But that.
So they're not.
Hey, yeah, it's so funny that Adam says that it's not true, as if the left is not intolerant. The left is extremely intolerant, man. Like now the right wing is starting to try to cancel people and things like that. But for the longest time, if you have the slightest little disagreement with a left winger, they try to take you off the map. They don't just try to like combat what you're saying and say that you're wrong. They try to literally wipe you from the map. Like, you know, any actor that tries to speak out and say they're pro-America or pro-Trump or just anti the woke nonsense, they get them fired from everything and they get them shunned. Like they get them completely blacklisted from Hollywood. It's crazy. And they've been doing that for the longest time, since at least 2016. They've been doing that for the longest time. So to try and say that the left wing and the right wing are equally as tolerant, that's just craziness, man.
Naive.
But
so if you want to pick
here's the
naivete
difference. Here's
on
the
the
difference.
Dems, also own and look
But
in
no,
the mirror.
there's a big difference, Adam.
So you're no longer
There's a
an
big
individual,
difference.
you're
Let me
just
just
part
say
of the
this part,
crowd.
and then we're going to go to the only person that has all the
thought more
experience
of you.
here to talk about this, and it's Rod. So we're going to go to him in a minute. Here's the difference. Could they show one thing, proof, that there was anything involved with Russia?
No.
Zero.
None.
Is there proof to show that there's been fraud in elections
Yes.
in the last 6 years? Yes. Was it enough to flip? Not yet, and no. That's the only difference. There is proof, just not at the level to say, well, we're going to change this city or that city. There is zero proof on the Russia hoax part. Zero proof on the Russia hoax part. So it's important to know both of these sides. I mean, look, today is a day where Republicans can't talk a big game, but it's also a day that Democrats can't talk a big game. Neither side can talk a big game today. It's gridlock. So neither side is right.
Yeah, Patrick Bet David's absolutely cooking Adam right here, as he normally does whenever Adam brings up just nonsensical talking points. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Patrick Bet David here, absolutely shutting down his co-host Adam Sosnick here live on the PBD podcast and the Valuetainment YouTube channel.